I want you to take a look at this image for 3 seconds. Look at the 2 circles. Which circle looks less blurry to you? The one on the left or the right? Now, what if I told you that both circles are exactly the same, and it's just your eyes playing tricks on you? In fact, I can prove to you that the 2 circles are equally as clear. Take a look at this. What you just saw is an optical illusion, making your eyes interpret the circles as being more or less blurry. This is an example of how our vision can fool you. Now, what if I told you that you can reverse your fading eyesight in an instant, just like the optical illusion you saw just now, and without relying on dangerous procedures, needles in your eyeballs, or ludicrous eye exercises? The man who solves this would win the Nobel Prize. Well, I've got great news for you. That's exactly what you're about to discover in this short broadcast, including the unique 7-second salamander trick that instantly cleared my blurry vision. So pay close attention. My friend David Cooper made a presentation that explains everything you need to know if you're suffering from fading eyesight. It's going to start in a few seconds.
This is a salamander, and in the next couple of minutes, I'm going to show you how this animal can reverse your vision loss. And I'll do it without injecting dangerous needles into your eyeballs or letting you spend another penny on expensive eyeglasses, and without wasting another second of your precious time on ridiculous eye exercises. But before we get to that, I've got to warn you, the special technique you're about to discover has been used successfully by over 14,000 regular folks just like you, who were finding it harder and harder to maintain crystal clear eyesight the older they got. And it's going to shock the living hell out of your family when they see you're 100% independent again, with damn near 20/20 vision to boot, so you can finally get back on the road without depending on others to run your errands. But since that means 14,000 less customers spending an arm and a leg on Big Pharma's medication merry-go-round, my lawyers have warned not to leave this video up for longer than 24 hours, which means this could be the only chance to take advantage of the information inside this video. So if your dying eyes have gotten worse in the last few months, if you see dark spots, floaters, or have trouble reading road signs, and if it's made you frightened at the lonely and inevitable dark future, then don't set this presentation aside for another time, because it might not be here when you come back. And if you do watch until the very end of this short yet transformative broadcast, I'm going to give you the exact step-by-step system that is proven to regenerate and restore aging vision so quickly, so powerfully, that the researcher who originally made this discovery received a Nobel Prize. And now I've used this same breakthrough to help thousands get their vision back, including yours truly. It even works if you're convinced your sight is too far gone. In fact, if you follow my step-by-step system to the T, it doesn't matter how damaged your vision already is. Your eyesight will recover. Wouldn't that be a secret you love to gain access to? You see, the harsh reality is, when you were younger, your eyes went through this exact same regenerative process every time they got damaged. You just never realized it because it happened on autopilot. The same way you don't have to think about breathing. All you have got to do is reactivate it. And as you're about to find out, it's actually very easy to do. All thanks to this unique salamander discovery. And believe me, you've never seen anything like this before. So make sure you turn off all distractions and watch this video until the very end. But before we get to that, you must hear about my horror story. And I understand most people would instead tell you about all the research they've conducted, which I'll also get to. Don't worry. I'll even share the Nobel Prize winning researcher who made this vision breakthrough a reality. But I know all you really want is a solution. And that's why you've got to hear about my story. See, it all started a little over a year ago when I walked into the maternity floor of the hospital, grinning from ear to ear as I welcomed my grandson to the world. I could feel the warmth of my daughter as she held baby Lucas tight. I could hear the doctors and nurses shuffling around. And when someone placed my beautiful new grandson into my arms, a rush of emotions flooded my body. But when my daughter asked me, "Doesn't he look just like you?" I had no choice but to lie. "He's so handsome," I said. But the truth was, I had no clue. I couldn't see my grandson's face at all. As a matter of fact, I couldn't make out anything in the room. All I saw were dark spots and blurry figures. The curse of my dying eyes. My macular degeneration mixed with my incessant cataracts. And while this should have been the happiest moment in my entire life, my thoughts were filled with heartache. Because sitting there, embracing my 6.2-pound little grandson, I suddenly came to grips that even if I lived for another 40 years, I'd never truly experience life with Lucas. I'd never be able to play ball with him. His parents would never let me babysit. He'd never get to stay over at Grandpa's house or see him dressed up for Christmas dinner for the first time. And it was all because of my fading vision. Hi, my name is David Cooper, and that was the saddest moment of my life. Truthfully, the only reason I'm willing to even share this with you is because while I didn't know it at the time, that day in the delivery room, the moment I thought my life was consumed by darkness is what would eventually lead me to do something most medical experts thought was damn near impossible. When I reversed my dying eyes so quickly and effectively that I went from legally blind to near 20/20 vision in just under 4 short months. And I did it all without a single injection in my eyeball, procedure, or drug. I know this may sound like utter BS to you, but the truth is, the only reason I was able to do the impossible, to completely reverse my fading vision, and to take matters into my own hands on my allegedly permanent eye damage, is because of a groundbreaking discovery in the field of adult pluripotent stem cells, a discovery that sent shockwaves in the medical community, and that has now become a huge obsession for researchers at the world-renowned Harvard Stem Cell Institute. And as you're about to see inside this short yet transformational broadcast, this new stem cell discovery is a godsend for anyone who suffered with fading vision. And it works regardless of what kind of eye problems you're dealing with. No matter if it's age-related macular degeneration like me, or if you have glaucoma, far or nearsightedness, or cataract. So if you're sick and tired of spending thousands of dollars on glasses or useless injections, when it comes to fading vision, this truly is the answer to all your prayers. Something that heals everything all at once and fast. And that's because your body will begin to naturally produce more stem cells once again, which you'll find out how to do inside this broadcast. They transfer directly to the places where they're needed most, including your eyes. And these stem cells work at the cellular level, like a first aid crew ready to heal you at a moment's notice. And before you know it, not only will your vision be restored, but you'll have healed your entire body in the process. Your liver, your skin, your brain, your heart, and more. And yes, that may sound over the top, but as you're about to find out during this presentation, research from prestigious universities like Harvard, Johns Hopkins, and others all prove this to be 100% true, in showing us that today, for the first time ever, your declining vision and old age is no longer left to fate. It's completely your choice. Just imagine. No more anxiety about losing your eyesight for good. No more humiliation because your family acts like you're a burden to loved ones. No more anger about losing the ability to do basic errands around the house like cooking, gardening, or mowing the lawn. You can rid yourself of all of this. And it's all thanks to the Nobel Prize winning discovery you'll find inside this short video. Plus, because you're harnessing the power of adult pluripotent stem cells that are already inside of you at this very moment, it has nothing to do with unethical ways like abortion or unborn babies, and it's 100% Christian approved. And while many stem cell therapies out there involve trips to the doctors, huge needles, risky procedures, and tens of thousands of dollars out of your pocket, the breakthrough is 100% natural, doesn't require a single doctor visit, and is extremely affordable. Yes, it's proven to be 100% safe and effective in numerous human studies. And it's already being used by a small handful of men and women all across the US, many of whom were afraid that their days of 20/20 vision were gone forever, but who are now seeing better than they have in decades. All thanks to what they discovered inside this video. Like Ruth M. in Maine. She says, "After my getting into 2 car accidents within the span of a week, I thought I'd never get behind the wheel again. That broke my heart. My husband John's vision was just as bad too. In fact, he lost his license about 6 months before me. I was mostly worried about my and Johnny's independence more than anything. Just the sheer thought of having to call an Uber in case of an emergency sent chills up my spine. Now, all those concerns are a thing of the past. My doctor was speechless when he saw my vision was back to near 20/20. It seems impossible, but everything you said in this presentation was true. I just want to say thank you for sharing this. I'm surprised it hasn't already gone viral." And Jeffrey T. of Texas, he writes, "I was extremely skeptical when I first stumbled onto this broadcast. It had to be baloney. In fact, the only reason I was even willing to keep watching is because my glaucoma had gotten so bad, I feared going blind. And I thought maybe at least I learned something new or interesting. Well, as it turns out, everything you said changed my life. My vision is so much clearer now. It's like a light switch flipped. I can see objects that are close and far away without having to squint. I haven't seen this well in years. This truly is a miracle." Now, Ruth and Jeffrey are just 2 of the hundreds of letters and emails I'm receiving each week. And let me tell you, the simple fact that I can actually read these letters without having to use a magnifying glass or ask someone to read it to me is the most amazing feeling in the world. And I'm guessing you'd like to experience that same feeling too, right? So let's get started. Because right now, I want to share the story of exactly how I stumbled onto this stem cell miracle, give you all the science behind how it works, then share with you the exact steps you should start taking right away so that you can restore your eyesight and vision and reclaim your independence, freedom, and happiness as a result.
So like I said, my name is David Cooper, and I live just outside of Fort Worth, Texas. You can say I'm the definition of your average American. I served in the United States Coast Guard from 18 until I was 33. Then I moved back home to Texas, where I was lucky to score a decent-paying career as a welder. But where I really hit the jackpot was when I met the love of my life, Barbara. And together we had 2 beautiful children, Ashley and Melissa. Raising the kids with my wife and keeping our marriage strong, well, it was hands down the greatest thing to ever happen to me. And I thank the Lord for all the precious moments and wonderful years that He gave to me and my family. And while I know God always has a plan, things got really dark, really fast. It all started when my wife Barbara died of a stroke 7 years ago. I was devastated. In fact, I thought my life couldn't get any worse, but boy, was I wrong. Because just a couple years after Barbara passed away, I noticed some weird things happening with my vision. At first, I started seeing these tiny dark spots, which were annoying, but I wasn't too worried about it. But then I went to my eye doctor to get it checked out. He told me that it looked like I had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD for short, and he said I shouldn't worry too much because it was in its very early stages. Then he recommended some vitamins, which conveniently he sold right there in his office. Avoid fast food and to keep exercising, and then if I kept a super healthy lifestyle, I should be fine. Now, the next few years, things seemed fine. But then a couple years after I first saw those dark spots appear, they started getting a lot worse, and all of a sudden, the entire center of my vision looked like black goo. I could see stuff from my peripherals, but not in the middle. And that's when things started getting worse. Like straight lines started looking wavy, which apparently is actually common when you've got AMD. But what really concerned me is when I noticed it was no longer just one eye. Now, both of my eyes were having these issues. And when I went back to my ophthalmologist, he said that my AMD had gotten much worse. Plus, Doc told me that while I'd started out with what they call dry macular degeneration, my left eye now had the wet kind, which I think happened when a blood vessel had burst. The wet version was a lot more serious, he told me, because people can go blind from it in a matter of days. And this is when he started doing injections called aflibercept into my eye, which I must have gotten at least 15 of these damn injections in the 2 years that followed. They weren't cheap either. These injections cost $2,000 each time. And thank the Lord my health insurance covered some of it, but still they were burning a hole in my pocket. And don't even get me started with the actual injection itself. I probably don't need to explain how much I hated having to go to the eye doctor, knowing he was going to jab a dripping needle directly into my eyeball. Honestly, just the thought of it makes me wince. But I figured, what the hell, if the injections helped me see, it'd all be worth it. And they did work temporarily. But then, just like when I was first diagnosed with dry AMD, the wet AMD started advancing. And as if things couldn't get any worse, I started developing cataracts too, which honestly I'm convinced was caused by the injections, even though my eye doctor denied it. And so now not only did I have this black blind spot in my field of vision, but even the part where I could see, my peripherals, that was yellow and clouded too. That's when things got real difficult. I used to love reading the newspaper, and while at first if I got the digital version and made the font bigger, I could still read them on my computer. As my AMD and cataracts got worse though, I stopped being able to read altogether. It was simply impossible. Plus, when I first found out about my vision problems, I'd still been able to drive my car because my left eye compensated for my right eye. But when both eyes got bad, driving was simply no longer an option. It was just too dangerous, and that meant suddenly I had no choice but to be alone. Even the little things I used to do around my house, like mowing the lawn, they became impossible because I had such large gaps in my vision. Even the little things like cutting vegetables became a serious hazard, and more than once I ended up slicing my finger. It got to the point where I felt like a slave, not just in my home, but even in my own body. And while I seriously hate to admit it, there was more than one occasion when I thought about betraying the Lord and ending my life. Honestly, the only reason I didn't commit suicide is because of my strong Christian faith, along with my family. Which is why when I got the news that my daughter Ashley was pregnant and that I'd finally get to be a grandpa, I thought to myself, well, maybe God does have a plan for me after all. But then there was that day in the hospital when I held my precious grandchild of mine for the very first time, felt his tiny little chest rising up and down, sucking in air, and it hit me that I'd never actually be able to see his handsome, pudgy face, or really see any of him at all, and that if I was being brutally honest, little Lucas would probably grow up thinking Grandpa was just some old forgetful lunatic, someone he had to be nice to and respect. But I could already imagine him arguing with his parents and not wanting to go over to Grandpa's house because he's so old and boring. Just the thought of it broke my heart, to the point where I knew I had to do something about my vision. And the more I thought about it, the more I came to grips that I really only had two options. Option one was to accept my old age and dying eyes, and the cold hard truth that I'd probably be moved into a nursing home sooner than I'd like. Option two was to do whatever it took to get my vision back. Obviously, option two sounded much better in theory, so on my next visit to the eye doc, I asked him if there was anything at all that had helped me get my vision back. Even experimental new procedures or operations, wasn't there something we could try? Well, I couldn't see the man's facial expression, but I could tell he was shaking his head. And he basically told me that while there were always experimental trials happening, there was virtually no chance I'd ever get to participate in any of them. And apologized and all, but really my only course of action was to learn to live with my dying eyes. Then he gave me, I kid you not, a booklet about coping with AMD, which was ironic, of course, because at that point I couldn't see a damn thing, let alone read some tiny printed little pamphlet. My doctor should have been a comedian. I had a nice little laugh about that. But when my daughter drove me back home that afternoon, I grew sad and lonely again because it really didn't seem like there was any hope for my eyes at all. And I even remember thinking to myself that I was being foolish for even thinking that my vision could ever be restored because it really would take a miracle. But that same evening, the Lord must have been listening to me as I said all of this, because not even 2 weeks later, a miracle fell right into my lap, even though I didn't recognize it at first. I remember it like it was yesterday. Summer was just around the corner, and my nephew Robert asked if he could come stay at my house for a month or two. Robert had just finished up 7 years in the Marines, and he wanted to move back home to Texas, but hadn't found a place to stay yet, and considering the fact I was living all by myself and had nothing going on in my life, since I couldn't leave the house on account of my eyes, I jumped at the chance to have the young man as a guest. So that's exactly what he did. Robert came to stay with me, and he was such a sharp young man. I felt so proud of him and grateful to the Marines for helping mold him into who he's become. Not a day went by where Robert wouldn't help me out around the house, drive me to town to do errands, and just generally be a pleasure to spend time with. He also made it a daily ritual around dinner time to start reading me news articles from his smartphone, which was really nice of him, because while I still had my hearing and could listen to the news, it was way more fun when he did it, and we could discuss the stories and what they meant. We passed a lot of evenings that way. But then one evening in early August, Robert came across a story on his phone that instantly caught both of our attentions. It was titled, "Groundbreaking Stem Cell Research Could Restore Sight to People people with macular diseases. And essentially what had happened was that scientists in London had grown stem cells in strict laboratory conditions for several months, then transplanted these mini retinas into two patients who both had age-related macular degeneration. Then the article said, the team has already succeeded in turning stem cells into cone photoreceptors, and their data indicates that it's possible to rescue visual function using these photoreceptors. And these patients went from not being able to read at all to reading 60 to 80 words per minute with no reported side effects. I couldn't believe what Robert was telling me. There it was in plain view, an article saying that scientists had reversed AMD in real-life humans. Why was this the first time I was hearing about this? Yet, as excited as I felt at first, I told myself not to get carried away because something that happened in a laboratory is one thing, but that doesn't mean it'll be available for everyday folks like me anytime soon. Plus, even if it did ever become available to the public, something so groundbreaking would probably cost hundreds of thousands of dollars anyways, or have an endless wait list. So I told my nephew it was exciting, but that I didn't want to get my hopes up. He went silent for a few seconds, which led me to believe this article was a lead he was going to investigate. A few evenings went by where Robert locked himself in the guest room instead of reading articles to me from his smartphone. I had no clue what he was doing at first, and it worried me slightly. But a couple days later, he sat down at the kitchen table and he told me, "Look, Uncle Dave, this stem cell stuff looks pretty promising. I really think you should know about this." Then, before I could even say a word, Robert started talking. And pay close attention to what he said, because this is where it all began, where I finally realized that maybe I could heal my dying eyes after all. And ultimately, this conversation is what led me to the stem cell breakthrough I'll be sharing with you. Something that's been proven to heal even the most severe cases of vision loss, and that works whether your problems come from cataracts, AMD, glaucoma, nearsightedness, or something else. You see, as my nephew Robert explained, it turned out that article wasn't baloney. In fact, scientists had been using stem cells to reverse AMD and other forms of vision loss for quite some time now. And more importantly, they were doing it with something called adult pluripotent stem cells, or AP stem cells for short, which have nothing to do with unborn babies or embryos, by the way. The way adult pluripotent stem cells work is that they are powerful and unique cells that each and every one of us are born with. But unlike most of your other cells, which are given a role in your body from day one, like skin cells, pancreas cells, brain cells, heart cells, and so on, AP stem cells don't have a specific role. Instead, they act like free agents and have the capability to turn into almost any type of cell in the human body. To give you context as to why that's so important, let's say you've damaged your sight from staring at the computer screen for too long. At an early age, you've got an abundance of adult pluripotent stem cells dormant in your body. So, if your eyes get damaged, your body can call some of these AP stem cells to do its job, and they'll travel up to the site of damage in your eyes. Then they'll mold and transform into healthy new eye cells and replace the damaged, decrepit ones. Now, I don't know about you, but I find it fascinating that stem cells do all of this. Robbie also found out that as we get older, we start using all of the adult pluripotent stem cells that we're born with. And by the time we reach our 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, we're running dangerously low. Which explains why stuff like cataracts, macular degeneration, and glaucoma are much more likely to happen when you're 50 plus. Because when you're younger, your body's got more than enough AP stem cells in reserve so that your eyes can heal themselves. But later on in life, you're running close to empty, like a car running out of gas. So your eyes begin breaking down until you eventually go blind. Makes sense, right? Like I said, it's fascinating. And in fact, the scientist who discovered that AP stem cells do all of this won the 2012 Nobel Prize. His name was Shinya Yamanaka. And the moment he made his stem cell discovery, experts in the medical community realized this could be the single most important breakthrough when it comes to vision loss and blindness. And their assumption was almost right on the money. Because in the past decade or so, scientists have been using stem cells to reverse AMD, blindness, cataracts, and just about every vision issue right front and center. But the thing is, they've been conducting these experiments on animals instead of humans. The good news is that a pig's eye is almost identical to the human eye, and I'm assuming that scientists either didn't have approvals or were too scared to do anything with stem cells on humans. Luckily, once the government passed new regulations that allowed scientists to finally pursue breakthrough scientific advances, it's about time things started to change. Imagine it now. A world where doctors can simply transfer healthy, vibrant, adult pluripotent stem cells to your eyes, and those stem cells go to work like a first aid crew, repairing all of the age-related damage to your macula, your retina, your cornea, your iris, your lens, or wherever the damage is. Until before long, you go from the frightening nightmare of blindness to crystal clear HD vision, where every color, every face, every word you read is all perfectly clear and visible. Not much to my surprise, this was already happening. It was something a few lucky people were blessed to experience, those who were blind having their vision restored. It was difficult for me to not feel excited hearing about all this, but again, I didn't didn't keep my expectations high because it had already taken more than a decade from discovering adult PSC stem cells to the first ever human trials. And even though the results had been outstanding, it was safe to assume it'd probably take another 10 years or even longer before any sort of stem cell treatment would be publicly available for folks like me and you. Besides, even when that did happen, you'd without a doubt wonder if these treatments would really even be safe, and would it even be affordable? I didn't have a clue what the answers would be, and I felt almost like God was testing me. Because while everything I was hearing pretty much proved that we're on the verge of wiping blindness off the face of the earth for good, I still had no idea when I would have the chance to get adult PSC stem cells for myself. So once again, I felt like I was getting ahead of myself and that I should just drop it before I got my hopes up. But like clockwork, the Lord had other plans for me. This time, my nephew had an old buddy in town, a friend of his from the Marines named Alex, and one chilly evening, we invited him over to my house for dinner. For most of the night, it was nice enough to exchange small talk and keep my mind off my dying eyes. I asked my nephew's buddy Alex what he did in the Marines, and he said he was a herpetologist, a special kind of department who studied amphibians in the Office of Marines Research. And so we talked about his line of work and why he got into it. But after a while, the conversation turned to my blindness, and my nephew started telling his friend Alex about what he'd been researching and how he was so amazed that adult PSC stem cells can repair basically any part of the human eye. Robert talked for what seemed like the entire night about it, and even though I couldn't see, I began to wonder if he was boring our guest because I didn't hear him say a word the entire time. But then Alex finally opened his mouth, and what he said surprised the hell out of me and my nephew. "Stem cells, huh?" he said curiously. "That's super interesting, sort of like what the salamander does." Neither me nor Robert had a clue what he was talking about, so we asked him. And that's when Alex told us about a type of amphibian that lives under rocks near creeks, ponds, and lakes all throughout the United States called the salamander. And that it's been documented several times over that the salamander never goes blind because whenever there is damage to their retinas, or anywhere else on their body for that matter, the salamander is able to grow new stem cells in its body. Then it sends these new stem cells directly into its eyes, where the stem cells mend and replace the damage, which allows the salamander to continue to see. My jaw dropped as Alex told us all of this, because while I knew he was a biologist, I'd never heard that the salamander could do this. To be quite frank with you, I didn't even know what a salamander was until this day. Now, I was pretty skeptical about it all, so I asked my nephew to look up the salamander on his smartphone and see if all of this was true. And to my surprise, Robert reported back that everything he said about the salamander was 100% true. As a matter of fact, new research published in Frontiers in Cell and Developmental Biology were already studying salamander intensely. The Smithsonian published an article stating salamanders can even regenerate spinal cords, eyes, and parts of their brains. And it turned out that scientists have begun expensive experiments to study the salamander and had already claimed that not only does this little amphibian hold the key to restoring vision, but even fighting all sorts of human diseases too. It's actually amazing. The simple fact that the salamander can basically just create healing stem cells at the snap of a finger and regenerate its vision or any other part of its body whenever damage occurs, no matter how badly their eyes are harmed or how old they are. When I asked Alex how the salamander did all of this, I'm pretty sure he shrugged because while I couldn't see him, he said something like, "I'd win the Nobel Prize if I knew the answer. Honestly, I have no idea. It probably has to do with their diet or something." After that, we ended the conversation. But what he said struck a chord in me. Even though Alex was joking around about the salamander's diet, it sort of made sense to me. Because when we humans eat healthy food rich in vitamins and nutrients, those nutrients help protect against diabetes, Alzheimer's, and other diseases. At least that's what my doctor tells me. So I thought, what if the salamander's eating something that lets them produce new stem cells and heal their eyes? I know it sounded like a long shot, but heck, what did I even have to lose? So once again, I asked my nephew a favor and look into the salamander's diet in the wild, just in case one of those foods they ate had some correlation with stem cells at all. It felt like a desperate Hail Mary attempt, but I had nothing to lose. And so the next morning, before the sun was even up, Robert sprinted into my room with his laptop on his forearm, telling me to come to the kitchen table because I wouldn't fathom the discovery he'd just found. You see, what he'd found out was that in the wild, salamanders eat a highly carnivorous diet and will eat all types of live critters, and as Robert had uncovered, their unique diet is packed with a nutrient called aminoethane sulfonate. This antioxidant is a nutrient found largely in mealworms and insects, which salamanders love to eat. Now, the reason this mattered, Robert said, is because when he started looking into this rare nutrient, he quickly found that in a major study published in the Journal of Stem Cell Research, they'd found that when they fed mice a diet high in aminoethane sulfonate, not only did the mice begin to grow new stem cells, but even more incredibly, these new stem cells were the exact type as the ones salamanders grow when they need to repair their eyes. Well, when I heard about all of this, my jaw dropped. You see, it turned out that aminoethane sulfonate was just one of the nutrients the salamanders eat in the wild. But there were several others too, and sure enough, Robert discovered that in almost every single case, the ingredients that the salamander loved to eat every day has been scientifically proven to help the body produce brand new, fresh, adult PSC stem cells. Plus, these exact same ingredients also had studies displaying dramatic improvements in our eyesight and vision too. For instance, another major nutrient in the salamander's diet is something called zeaxanthin, which I'd never heard of before, but it's apparently a carotenoid and it's found in certain types of shrimp shells and fish skin, which all happen to be things that the salamander loves to eat. As Robert dug further into this, he discovered that in a brand new study published by the National Institutes of Health, NIH, a team of medical scientists had conducted an in-depth study of how zeaxanthin influences human cells, and without a shadow of doubt, they found this nutrient has the ability to enhance the self-renewal potency of stem cells, which is a fancy way of saying that zeaxanthin commands the body to produce brand new stem cells. What's even more impressive, in another major clinical study, this one published in the International Journal of Molecular Sciences, where a team of scientists dissected zeaxanthin in every way possible to get a better understanding behind how it works, and guess what they found? Not only did it improve stem cell potency and proliferation, but even more astonishingly, the scientists specifically mentioned that zeaxanthin increased what are called neuroprogenitor cells, and those are the same kind of stem cells that the salamanders use to repair their eyes too. So now I was getting chills, because the studies prove that salamanders use stem cells to repair their eyes along with every other part of their body that's damaged. Then I saw that aminoethane sulfonate was proven to help the body grow more of that same type of stem cell. And now I was hearing that something called zeaxanthin did the exact same thing. And since of course the salamander's diet is filled with aminoethane sulfonate and zeaxanthin, there was a clear connection at play. The crazy part is we were still just getting started, because Robert found at least 3 more brand new studies, all published in peer-reviewed journals, all showing that zeaxanthin increases the production of adult repair stem cells in the body. Plus, when we dug even deeper, we found there were also dozens of studies showing that astaxanthin directly improved vision and eyesight, including a big 2016 study that was published in the Annual Review of Nutrition, which found that supplementing the diet with zeaxanthin didn't just directly protect against damage to the retina, it also significantly reduced it and stopped these retina cells from dying. I like to err on the side of if it sounds too good to be true, then it usually is. But the cold, hard scientific evidence was right there in front of us, not just anecdotes or speculation. And at that moment, I finally allowed myself to get excited and to believe that just maybe I really could restore my vision and dying eyes. It was starting to become really obvious that, number 1, the salamander can produce new stem cells and regenerate its vision like clockwork. Number 2, the salamander's diet is loaded with nutrients that have been scientifically proven to get the body to produce new stem cells. Number 3, so it makes sense that when we humans take the same exact stem cell producing nutrients, we can also heal our eyes. All signs pointed to us having a major vision breakthrough. But of course, that didn't mean this is what would actually happen in real life. Still though, given what we were seeing, Robert and I agreed that we should find a way to combine the ingredients we'd been studying together in the same dosages as from the studies, then start testing them to see if they had any effect on my vision at all. So that's what we did. We started looking for a way to get aminoethane sulfonate and zeaxanthin from overseas, the same exact type that the salamanders ate. And in addition to those 2 ingredients, we also started looking for a high-quality source of lutein, which is another carotenoid, like zeaxanthin, that is already very well known to protect your eyes. Turns out this ingredient is found in the insects that the salamander eats too. And what we quickly realized through doing more research is that when you get this nutrient from natural, bioavailable sources, instead of in their synthetic form, which is how they appear in most vision supplements you see online for sale, lutein has been shown to support the body's production of adult repair stem cells too. So that brought our list of proven stem cell producing ingredients to the following: aminoethane sulfonate, zeaxanthin, and lutein. And then we added even more ingredients to the list, things like Euphrasia officinalis, grapeseed extract, bilberry extract, quercetin, and rutin. And the reason why we added those is because we also found a ton of research showing that they had the power to significantly improve vision, no matter how bad your dying eyes have become. So once we had our complete list of ingredients, we took out a mortgage loan to fund an entire team of expert lab scientists at the local university, tasking them with the sole purpose of combining these ingredients into a single pill form, something that was easy to swallow yet extremely effective. We were also extremely careful about the production process, obsessing over the quality, bioavailability, and purity of these ingredients, because we knew this was the only chance we had to save my fading eyesight and eradicate my AMD and cataracts for good. So we tested the formulations day and night, until finally, after months of negotiating with biologists and scientists all over the US, and spending pretty much every single waking hour in the lab we rented here in Dallas, we had something we were ready to test. It was a single pill that contained scientifically proven doses of each and every one of the stem cell producing ingredients we'd uncovered. And all I could do was keep my faith in God. Then the moment of truth finally came. So on a cool November morning, I took my very first dose of this stem cell activating formula. After that, all I could do was wait and pray to the Lord that I would see any improvement in my dying eyes. A full day went by, nothing. Then 2 days, then 3 days, still no signs, at least nothing noticeable. But still, I'd been hoping for an instant fix, especially after all the hard work and money I've put into it, so I couldn't help but wonder if maybe I'd been a fool to even try. When I mentioned it to Robert, though, how much I'd been feeling down in the dumps, he just about smacked me back into reality and told me of course it was going to take a bit of time and to place my faith in God. So that's exactly what I did. I remained vigilant and kept taking my pill day after day. And on the morning of the 11th day, something interesting happened. When I woke up, I still had dark spots in the center of my vision, but it did seem like they were a little less noticeable, and my vision seemed a tad clearer too, not as cloudy as before. It wasn't the miracle I'd hoped for, but it was a step in the right direction, and that was all I needed to keep going, which is exactly what I did. And I thank the man upstairs for that, because by the 22nd day, those same dark spots were dramatically lighter, and any signs of skepticism had completely vanished. In fact, some of the dark spots were even starting to disappear altogether. It was like these black things in my vision were slowly but surely fading. Plus, my cloudy lenses were basically all cleared up at this point, and after the 4th week, things started to happen fast. The big black holes in my vision were now nothing but tiny dots, kind of like how they'd been when I was first diagnosed with AMD, which wasn't bad at all. In fact, for the most part, my field of vision was entirely unblocked. And that's when I considered reinstating my driver's license, because I was confident that this was truly working. And finally, in the 3rd month, that's when my vision started becoming HD again. You see, beforehand, I'd already been able to see directly in front of me and make out shapes and faces without much trouble, but things were still a bit blurry. Not anymore, though. And that's the moment when I realized that I'd successfully reversed my fading vision and healed my eyes entirely. I can't even describe the feeling that came over me. But if you're struggling with fading vision right now, I'm sure you can imagine what it'd be like if suddenly you went from not being able to read or see road signs to having crystal clear vision in razor-sharp definition. And let me tell you, the first time I saw my grandson Lucas, I mean really saw him, his big brown eyes, that warm smile, well, I just couldn't hold back my tears. And I'm not even embarrassed to say it, because it really was a miracle. I thought I'd never be able to see his face before I died. Now I could see every detail in stunning 20/20 vision. And at this point, things started to happen fast, because everyone I knew were all speechless by what happened. The priest even called me up to the front of church one Sunday and had me recount my story, and he called it a miracle from God. And then I had dozens of members from our church wanting to know about me and Robert's discovery. Of course, I was happy to share what we created, and sure enough, in the months that followed, it was like our whole church began aging in reverse. Because not only were folks' eyes being restored to perfect, glorious vision, but it was clear that we were all starting to look and feel a whole lot younger too. Which makes sense, since adult pluripotent stem cells don't just heal your eyes, they literally have the power to heal and fix every single part of your body. Your skin, your hair, your nails, your heart, your liver, your brain, your pancreas, your colon. Stem cells' one and only job is to heal your body. And as the word continued to spread about this little-known church in Texas where the blind were once again able to see, that's when the calls, emails, and letters came flooding in from all over the world, with folks asking if me and Robert would send them some of our vision healing breakthrough too. So at that point, we knew that's what we had to do, that this was God's calling for us, because it was obvious that what we discovered could save the eyes of so many. So we went to work producing our eye-restoring formula for the public. We were extremely careful about the production process and only used the purest and most bioavailable forms of each nutrient. This was crucial because we realized that while there already were other supplements out there that contained some of the ingredients we discovered, most of their ingredients were made synthetically in a lab, which was probably why they hadn't worked so good. And I wanted to make sure that in our case, we were delivering to people the most effective, natural, sight-saving formula on the planet. We decided to call our discovery VISISOOTHE, because that's what it does. It clears up your vision while healing every single part of your eye at a cellular level. And because VISISOOTHE harnesses the power of adult pluripotent stem cells, this is something that can refresh pretty much your entire body too. And now you're probably asking how you can get your hands on VISISOOTHE for yourself, along with how often you need to take it for best results. To be honest, it's actually still very difficult for the general public to get VISISOOTHE. And the reason why is because many of the ingredients come from private manufacturers who typically only work with the military and high-profile individuals, where they're carefully inspected for purity and quality before finally being transformed into a single beautiful capsule, something that retains all of these ingredients' freshness and potency. It's a truly amazing process, but it's also extremely expensive and time-consuming to do all of this, which is why each batch of VISISOOTHE can take up to 3 months to custom create. On top of that, because VISISOOTHE can heal virtually every part of the eye, pretty much everyone who uses it keeps on asking for more of the stuff, because they never again want to go back to fading, blurry vision, or feel the terror of realizing they're going blind. VISISOOTHE is also becoming extremely popular in Europe, which is putting even more of a strain on our production capacity. And because taking VISISOOTHE regularly is a way to refresh and repair virtually every cell in your body, something that can help lower high blood sugar, fight inflammation in the brain, revitalize your fading kidneys, and so much more, even people who don't have poor eyesight have been ordering VISISOOTHE. That way, they can say no to the aging process, then actually grow younger every single day. And as a result of the fact that VISISOOTHE is expensive to manufacture, takes up to 3 months to produce a single batch, and keeps selling out, we frequently don't have any VISISOOTHE available for folks. But that being said, I also don't want anyone to suffer from the horror and loneliness of continuously weakening eyesight, which is why in the next few moments, I'll share how you can get your hands on a brand new bottle of VISISOOTHE as part of our breakthrough new Clear Vision program. First though, let me go back to that other question of how much VISISOOTHE you need to take. That's simple. Just take 2 capsules each day for at least 30 days. The reason why it's important that you take VISISOOTHE for at least 30 days is pretty straightforward. While the stem cell activating ingredients inside go to work pretty much immediately, the truth is that fully restoring your vision simply isn't something that happens overnight. Instead, it'll take some time, and this is especially true if your vision is really bad like mine was. Because in my case, it took almost 3 months before I went from legally blind to near perfect vision again. Of course, if your eyesight isn't as bad as mine was, you may see major results a lot faster. But still, I'd say it's important you plan on committing to VISISOOTHE for at least a month, and frankly, you'd probably end up wanting to take it a lot longer than that anyways. Especially since this formula doesn't just help you produce new stem cells for your eyes. It allows you to produce new, thriving, adult repair stem cells everywhere in your body, which means that if your memory is fading, or your skin is wrinkly, or your heart is damaged, those are all things VISISOOTHE can help with too. So it just makes sense to keep taking VISISOOTHE again and again, which is why most medical experts recommend you choose at least 3 bottles of VISISOOTHE and 6 bottles of VISISOOTHE if you want to be completely safe. Then take it for a period of at least 90 days. That way, you can absolutely guarantee that you've healed your eyes on a cellular level. And you can experience all of those side benefits that come from healing every other part of your body too. That's exactly what happened to Ruthie Cayley, who says, "I started taking VISISOOTHE for my eyesight as I'd always been nearsighted, but also because I have diabetes and had been diagnosed with retinopathy, which scared the living hell out of me. Luckily, VISISOOTHE worked as advertised, and now my eyesight has been the best it's ever been. Whether it's the stem cells you talk about or something else, I don't care. It's working." And Professor William Gavin, who recently wrote us and said, "I've had to rethink a lot of things since I saw your work. To be honest, I was elitist before. I didn't think anyone but scientists like me could answer questions about human health. Now I know that's not true. It's amazing how sound the science is here. I'm so impressed that you guys made the connection between salamander and the nutrients they eat. It's so obvious, yet all of us highly educated folks missed it. You didn't, and thank God for that. I've now started recommending this solution to all of my clients, and it's producing stunning results. Great work, guys." Those real-life testimonials you just heard are only a few of the hundreds I'm now receiving each month about VISISOOTHE. And you should know that VISISOOTHE is only available on the website while there are supplies in stock and we're able to stay in business. You see, the truth is Robert and I currently are facing over a dozen injunctions from pharmaceutical lawyers who hate what we're doing, and who hate that there is a natural and effective way to restore eyesight, something that is actually good for your body, and that bulletproofs you from disease, infection, and even old age to boot. We're fighting a war almost every day not to let Big Pharma win, but I don't want you to wait on taking action and reclaiming your life with VISISOOTHE. VISISOOTHE is your only real chance to regain your fading vision. And it's something that can protect both your eyes and your entire body for decades to come, while allowing you to retain your independence and freedom for as long as you want, without needing to spend thousands of dollars on drugs, injections, glasses, magnifying glasses, lasers, or anything else. VISISOOTHE is about giving you your life back. And all it takes is you using these powerful stem cell activating ingredients per day to heal your vision forever. Of course, this isn't to say that there aren't other options. I just mentioned the injections, the drugs, the vision aids, and all of those things, all of which can be helpful, I guess. But they're also so incredibly expensive. Plus, none of those things actually stop your dying eyes. They're simply band-aids at best. Another option is to wait to see if Big Pharma ever makes a stem cell procedure available to the American public. And in my opinion, this will happen, because the world's best scientists are already using stem cells to cure blindness right now. The thing with waiting, though, is that who knows how long it will be until these treatments are commercially available. Plus, just like with any other breakthrough, chances are they're going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars for the first several years. And even then, It'll be a risky procedure where lab-grown stem cells are being inserted into your eyes, which is not just creepy, but also entirely unnecessary. Especially when, with VISISOOTHE, you simply take one small capsule of natural, 100% safe nutrients twice a day. And then those nutrients do what God intended them to do. They get your body producing more and more of these miraculous adult pluripotent stem cells, then tell your body to send them to the places where they're needed the most, places like your damaged eyes, so that they can go to work on healing your vision and making you 100%. And considering that this is exactly what VISISOOTHE does, I'm sure you can understand why I originally set the investment in this breakthrough to $149 per bottle, which honestly I think is extremely fair. It's less than you'll pay for doctor's visits, laser surgery, injections, and oral medications over the course of the year. Yet, unlike those other options, VISISOOTHE is a proven breakthrough that can renew every single cell inside your eye. Plus, considering that there is only one supplement manufacturing facility in the entire world that has the capabilities to make VISISOOTHE, and that each capsule contains the purest and most bioavailable forms of these stem cell activating ingredients, $149 really is a steal. But despite all of that, this isn't about making a profit for me or my nephew. Of course, we could use the money to help with my legal bills, especially since every single day we're fighting the prescription drug cartels who are constantly trying to sue our pants off and shut us down. But ultimately, our mission is to help people. We don't want money. We want you to be healed. We want to save more people's eyesight, just like mine, which means that we think everyone needs to be able to access VISISOOTHE. That's why we're offering this vision-saving breakthrough to the public for the first time ever through our special Clear Vision program. And why, if you act right now and make the life-changing decision to join the 14,000 plus men and women before you, you can get your hand on VISISOOTHE for just $69 per bottle. And actually, that's just the start. I understand that stopping vision loss and healing your eyes isn't just important to you, it's also important to your family and loved ones. And because I want to make sure that you and those you care about continue to enjoy brand new eyes that allow you to see the entire world in beautiful, sharp, crystal clear focus, Robert and I have created a special discounted package plan where you can get 6 bottles of VISISOOTHE for just $49 per bottle. This special discounted package is only being offered to you today through this website as part of our Clear Vision program, and only while supplies last. Plus, you'll also get free shipping today, which is a $9.99 value. But both the special multi-bottle discount and the free shipping are limited. When we run out of bottles of VISISOOTHE again, it will take up to 3 months before another batch is available. So click the 6-bottle package, or any other package you choose, below this video right now to secure your order. This is truly one of the smallest but most important investments that you'll ever make in your health and well-being. A single bottle of VISISOOTHE will start repairing your eyes on a cellular level. 3 bottles will do the same thing while ensuring these changes stay in place, and 6 bottles of VISISOOTHE will give you an entirely new set of eyes, while flooding your body with powerful healing adult repair stem cells that go to work healing damage everywhere at once, improving your heart, your brain, your colon, your skin, and everything else as a result. Okay, so at this point, you're probably thinking that this all sounds really exciting, and you're asking, how do I get started? Just click the button below right now and choose the package of VISISOOTHE that's best for you. You'll then go to the secure checkout page where you'll enter your order details, and within just 5 business days from now, you'll receive VISISOOTHE to your front door. So go ahead and click the button below now to secure VISISOOTHE while there are still bottles in stock. This should be an absolute no-brainer because you're also covered by a 60-day 100% money-back guarantee. It works like this. Begin using VISISOOTHE now. See how it starts to bring your vision into focus, how the cloudiness disappears, the dark spots vanish, the distortions fade away, and how you're suddenly finding you no longer need to squint your eyes to read road signs in the distance, or even the text message on your phone. It really is like going from watching an old standard definition television to an ultra-sharp HD one. And over 14,530 other folks have already experienced this exact same thing. But if for any reason you're not happy with your results using VISISOOTHE, simply email or call my US-based customer service team 24/7, and we will give you a prompt and immediate refund with 0 questions asked. You have nothing to lose here, except the fear and anxiety of living your life in the dark. It's a 100% risk-free investment, so go ahead and click one of the buttons you see below now to get started healing your vision. This presentation is now ending, and the ultimate decision is yours. One of your choices is to stop watching this video and go on with your day. That's your right, but what will change if you make that choice? How are you going to feel in a month, 6 months, or a year from now if you don't take action today and your eyesight is still fading? Or God forbid, how will you feel if your vision disappears entirely? And suddenly, it's like you're trapped inside a pitch-black cave where you still have your sense of smell, your sense of touch, your sense of taste, but you know you'll never see another face, never see anything for as long as you live. The sad truth is that most people wait too long to act, and if left untreated, your dying eyes will eventually go dark for good. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm truly not. I'm telling you this because I don't want you to be a victim here. I'm telling you this because I want you to make the right choice by reclaiming your vision and clicking one of the buttons you see below this video. Right now, you can get VISISOOTHE for just $69 per bottle, and for even less than that if you get one of my more popular packages. When supplies of VISISOOTHE run out though, it'll be 3 months until we get more in. When the Clear Vision program ends, the price goes back up to $149 per bottle so that we can at least break even instead of losing money with each bottle we sell, which is what's happening now. All of which means you really must act now. My mission is to make blindness and poor vision a distant memory by wiping it out of existence forever. You can play a large part in achieving this noble goal by participating in the Clear Vision program today and receiving your order of VISISOOTHE to your front door in just a few short days from now. It's your decision, but this is your last chance. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless. Sincerely, David Cooper. Still here? No problem. I know we just covered a lot. To help you out, let me go ahead and answer some of the most common questions you might have. 1. How does VISISOOTHE work again? It all started when I heard about the salamander. These animals live in select regions around the world, living under creeks, and they have the ability to regenerate their eyes no matter how much damage has been done to them. This means that the salamander never lose their vision. And when my nephew and I started looking into the diet of the salamander and what they ate, we found that practically all of their favorite foods have been scientifically proven to get the body producing brand new adult pluripotent stem cells. On top of that, there were also numerous vision-specific studies on these ingredients too, showing that they help to improve vision and eyesight in humans. And that's when we put 2 and 2 together and realized that if we took the right dosages of these nutrients, then combined them into a highly absorbable, highly potent pill, we could help everyday folks to activate their body's natural stem cell producing abilities and restore their vision too. That's when we created VISISOOTHE. And while I was the first test subject for all of this, it's now been used by over 14,000 folks and almost to a person. These folks are reporting that since they started taking VISISOOTHE on a daily basis, their vision has been restored. 2. Why haven't I heard of VISISOOTHE before? So far, more than 14,230 Americans have used VISISOOTHE with powerful results. I've already had a lot of interest from major newspapers and media outlets about VISISOOTHE, especially since this is something that is restoring folks' visions entirely naturally without them needing to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars or being 1 out of 11 million folks who get selected to participate in some clinical trial from Harvard. So far though, I've chosen to try and keep this breakthrough underground. And the reason why is because the last thing I want is to get even higher up on Big Pharma's hit list. Vision is already a multi-$100 billion industry, and the pharma lawyers will stop at nothing to silence me. I'm already dealing with lawsuits every single day, and the last thing I want is to raise an even higher profile. 3. Who is VISISOOTHE for? VISISOOTHE is for anyone who suffers from vision loss, no matter whether it's caused by cataracts, glaucoma, AMD, retinopathy, or something else. It's also a great choice for anyone who wants to opt out of the aging process, because once your stem cells are activated, they go to work and heal every single part of your body, which means the longer you take VISISOOTHE, the more biologically young you become. Additionally, there are 0 side effects and you can take it with other supplements. 4. What happens once I click the button below? Once you choose your package below, you'll go to my 100% secure checkout page. Then just enter your payment information and place your order. After that, you'll receive VISISOOTHE in the next 5 business days, which means you're less than a week away from starting to make your poor eyesight a thing of the past. 5. How long does it take to restore my vision? You'll start noticing improvements pretty fast, but the time it takes to restore your vision entirely is going to vary. Really, it comes down to how bad the damage to your eyes is currently. For me personally, I was pretty much entirely blind, and it took just over 3 months to reclaim 20/20 vision. For others, they reported it only took a few weeks to get similar results, but each person is different. 6. Can you remind me of the guarantee you mentioned? Absolutely. VISISOOTHE comes with a 60-day 100% money-back guarantee. That means you order VISISOOTHE today, then have a full 60 days to decide if it's right for you. If you're like the 14,000 plus people who have used VISISOOTHE already, then you'll be thrilled with the results. But if you're not for any reason, simply call or email my customer service team, and we'll refund your investment with 0 questions asked. 8. How long will VISISOOTHE be available? That's hard to say. My hope is that VISISOOTHE will make vision loss a thing of the past, but because Big Pharma is furious about this breakthrough and is spending millions of dollars on legal fees to try and silence me, it's uncertain if I'll be able to fight them off forever. That's why it is important for you to get VISISOOTHE today, especially since it comes with a 60-day 100% money-back guarantee, which means there's 0 risk to you. 9. All right, I really want VISISOOTHE. What now? That part is simple. Just click one of the buttons below and choose your package. Then complete your order, and VISISOOTHE will be in your hands in just 5 business days from now. Plus, there's no risk because of my ironclad guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead and click the 6-bottle package or any other package you choose below the video right now to secure your order. From the bottom of my heart, thanks again for watching, and God bless you. Sincerely, David Cooper.